What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well today. We're on some MX bikes and today we're doing something that I never thought I'd ever do. And this is going back and playing some super old OEM bikes that were about before I even started playing the game. These bikes go back to beta 9, I believe. And I think I started playing the game around the very end of 15, start of 16. So it's going to be interesting to see how these feel. I've had a very lovely member of the community upload and send these to me, so I'm not sure where we stand in terms of making them public. I'll kind of hold fire on that for now, but there's a bunch of models in this that I've never had the pleasure to use before, like this Honda with the dual pipes looks hella sexy. I think we've got one of the older RMs in here as well, which I don't know if this one's from Sim originally. I know there was quite an old RM Sim model that was quite nice. But I'm very interested to see how these bikes handle. I think that's going to be quite an interesting subject, especially in comparison to like the modern day bikes. The bars on this look really nice, by the way, just throwing that out there. So I'm going to load up some of the harder tracks in this game. I'm probably going to do a few JV tracks, like maybe like Sweden or Spain, things like that. And I just want to see how they ride. And one thing that I think is also interesting as well, before we get into it, is there's no separate two-stroke category on this. You know, back in the day it was all combined together, so you could race two strokes against four stroke, which I wish. Please, serious hosts, please start letting us ride two strokes. It would bring back my love of the game so much more than I have right now. This bike, why is there a 2023 Husky in it? That's not right. That shouldn't be in there, so we're going to ignore that one. I hope you enjoy. So to start us off, we're going to go on the KX450, and I don't actually know which mapping is the aggressive mapping and which one's the mellow, so I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I don't think there's a whole lot really in terms of differences in overall setup. We've got like obviously we have no updated tyres. That is the one thing that I do want to throw out there. So if I have any complaints about traction and things like that, please bear in mind that what I'm using right now is a modern Poboso traction, if that makes sense. We've not got the updated OEM tyres, we've just got the stock Poboso ones, but I believe the Poboso traction is different to how it would have been back when these bikes originally released, so we've got to take it all with a little pinch of salt. And first things first, I think that's the stock, I don't know if that's fully stock MSM sound, but it's pretty damn close. So I'm guessing these bikes predate all of the buyer sound mods, which is interesting for sure. And off the first two jumps I've done, the bike feels very floaty. It seems to go super far. And also very front end tucky. Jesus, look at oh, I'm not a fan of that at all. I'm not leaning over very far whatsoever, and the front end's trying to have a little knife on me. Now this track is Sweden, TFC's Sweden at Uddevalla, and it's a track that I'm actually quite fond of. I know my way around this track. I had a very good set of races in both EU and NA, and I feel like that's always important when it comes to testing out these different bikes. So you don't want to try a track that's brand new, because you don't know what's placebo, what's the bike itself, what's the actual track that you're not used to. But this seems to hang about in the air for a really long time. Not a fan of the engine noises whatsoever. It could definitely be worse. Like I've definitely heard worse sound mods in this game than this. But I mean, so far it feels very quick. It feels very fast. Feels very floaty. But oddly enough, it feels floaty and light in the air, but it feels heavy on the ground and in the corners. So it might have some weird sort of inertia / center gravity going on there, that makes the bike handle a bit differently. But by no means is it terrible or unusable. I mean, whip's fairly good. I did notice just then, towards the end of that whip, oh, it doesn't handle bumps that well. Okie dokie. That is something that a few bikes on this game suffer from, is where you're trying to turn over bumps and the bike just goes straight instead. All to do with how the suspension's set up. I'm not going to go messing with suspension all these, you know. They're all going to be stock out the box. As you know, I'm not a setup guru, not a technician. If ever I get sent a setup these days, I then just mess around with it, a click here and there until it feels super nice to my liking. But we'll run them stock right now. So sorry, I was going to say, after I finish sneezing, that's hopefully going to get cut out of the video. Linz, please remember. I was going to say the whips, if you throw it super fat, the bike the front end of the bike hangs out to the side longer than you'd like, and it doesn't come back in a straight line. The rear end comes around, but the front end stays out a little bit. So that is very odd. And it's all these little unique things that I think sometimes we take for granted on the current OEM bikes, you know. I mean, I myself am one to say, oh my god, the front end's on this bike and this bike sucks, etc. But I think the overall handling and the weight and everything like that on the bikes is really, really good. Like, it does feel natural, as opposed to this feels a little bit foreign, I want to say. It's very, very different. And then that's always going to be the case with the amount of time that I've put into the game in the last 2 years, as opposed to winding back the clock in beta 19, or beta 9, sorry, not beta 19. Again, it's really hard to explain. Like, that felt like a very normal whip like process that I do with how far I usually step the bike out, and the back end came back round, but the front end stayed quite high and out to the side. But there you go, there's a couple laps on the KX. I want to mess around with a few different bikes to see if they're all quite as varied as they are these days. I know these days a lot of people want all the bikes to be completely uniform, which I don't think is possible with the bikes we have right now. Interesting to see what these other bikes are like, though. They might have been imported into the game differently. I believe they have different creators back then as well. So let's mix up a bit. I might go down... I'll do another 450 first, and then we'll go down the 250 route and see how those bad boys handle too. Oh, look at these options. This is the Yamaha 450. We've got stock, hard-hitting, linear torque, or smooth. I mean, let's go for hard-hitting. Let's see what she's got. That should be interesting. What's in the info? So this was made by Stone Rider. Very interesting. I see we do have a little aerial word here. Extreme Maniac and Roman 762. Now, it might be a bit ignorant for me to say, I've never heard of these first two guys at all, ever. So it goes to show how old these bikes go back. These are probably people in the community that have kind of like been and gone, just don't really play the game anymore. But let's see how this handles. I mean, same exact engine sound as the KX, so we don't get a whole lot of diversity in terms of sounds. Let's see how the bike handles around Erne. Again, we are on stock Barbosso tyres, so I probably won't be able to go quite as fast as I know I can go around this track. I just have to be a little bit gentle on the throttle. Probably not the best choice by me in the world of actually choosing the hard-hitting... Oh, get over that. Get over that. No, I don't think I'm getting over this quad, though. I have to check up. Oh, I checked up too much. Oh, my Christ. Okay, no, that's... It took that hard landing like a champ. I'll accept that. I usually kind of get all sorts of weird and wonky up that hill if it goes wrong. Let's keep her going and see how she feels overall. One thing that I have noticed with these MSM sounds is there's like this whirring in the background that I believe is the sound that the Alta uses as its entire engine. You know, with no actual engine, there's just like a whirring. I don't know if it's meant to simulate like the wheels or whatever it may be, but just something... If don't know about that one, Chief. That was a bit of a weird one. I'm not too sure about that. I want to go and slow that down real quick. See what on earth has just happened there. So if we slow her right down... Oh, we've slowed her down a bit too much. Come on, hurry up. Right, slow her down more. What on earth happened there? Did I hit anything in particular that's caused that to happen, or did the front end just say no? Oh, I don't know about that. I feel like the bikes these days would tank that and take it like a champ. So, maybe Beta 18 OEMs 1, Beta 9 OEMs 0, maybe? That wasn't very good. Can't lie at all. These bikes feel very quick in a straight line, is what I will say, and then very nimble in the air until you try bringing it back round. It's like the rear wheel hasn't got the inertia that you think it has, so it's almost as if the back end steps out, and it's as if someone's stuck a stick in my spokes and just then locked the back wheel up. It hangs out there and doesn't follow itself through in like a circular motion to bring the whip back round. I think it's really hard to explain unless you're doing it yourself. But again, like I said at the start, I don't know where we stand in terms of making these publicly available again. I mean, I could always ask the powers that be up above if it's even worth it. The only issue that you have is if you put these bikes into your game and you then try joining any online server, even if you have the current bikes as well, you will get errors popping up, so you won't be able to join in. So it would just be a case of using them in testing, or if you have like a dedicated server. Well, I don't think it would work on Dedi servers. I know Dedi servers these days are meant to work with the latest OEMs. So you just have to host your own world, like locally with your friends, and just make sure that they have everything installed in the same way. I myself made a complete backup of my bikes and my tyres folders and put them on my desktop, and then moved all this stuff in. So I've not even got the old stuff anymore, except for that 2023 Husky, which I'm not sure how I've managed to get that one in there, but it's fine. We move. Let's try it. double in here. There we go. I mean, the traction on the bike actually feels fine. I think it's just the overall handling that's a bit different. And one thing that I think is also worth bearing in mind is when these bikes were released, the tracks that were being made were very, very different than what we've got now. I think tracks nowadays are a lot more technical, you know, they're a lot more challenging, they make the bike work a hell of a lot harder in terms of rough and ruts. I think back in around beta 9 days, the tracks were a lot more flat, a lot easier, so maybe that could be another reason as to why these bikes are struggling as well. But, you know, overall, I think I prefer the KX over the Yami, which is a shame because I actually really like this Yamaha's model, and just being a Yamaha fanboy, being biased towards the Yamis where I own them IRL. They're not terrible though, definitely better than I expected for being so old. Now I want to give the 250s a go as well, because I feel like it's not fair to just ride the 4s only. The 2s could be better. I mean, I think that the 250s these days are more fun to ride than the 450s. So let's see what we do. I'm feeling a little bit of Suzuki action. Again, no idea these days on what coupler on the RM makes it better, so I'm just going to leave it completely standard. I feel like I need everything written out to me in very basic English, like fast, sort of like hard hitting, smooth, etc., just like it was in the Yamaha. So this is the 250. This is 2018 RM 250. So this will be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, if we're going true to real life, the bike should be no different to what it is these days. That's a joke. Please don't hate me. And also, shout out Mr. Roxon, who's going to be going racing at High Point. I'm very excited to see that. Saw a picture of that he posted of his Suzuki on Instagram where it was just completely yellow. That was accidentally a really nice smooth line. Just all yellow RM, and it just looks so nice. I don't know why. I feel like yellow's such a brighter colour than all the other bikes out in the field, and it's very, very nice. And I feel like I would definitely own a Suzuki at some point, and I have no idea how they still to this day have got away with having no electric starts. I do remember back when I was younger in my 85 days, when... No, not even then. I think it was when I moved up to the 125. Holy crap, this bike is slow. I had to stretch out that triple, which I usually have to scrub. Yeah, I remember back in the old days where, in my mind, the electric starts were a little bit of like a gimmick when they first started coming out on like the KTMs, etc. And then I remember finally trying one for the first time and being like, oh, this is actually amazing. It's so lazy, but it's so amazing at the same time, not having to have a kickstart. It's brilliant. But I've got no idea how the Suzukis have come this far without like, really upgrading much at all. And I'm kind of hoping that with Ken doing well on them, and to be fair, other riders riding them really well too, like Mr. Drake at Thunder Valley, he was absolutely barking. And like Dylan Schwartz is always a good rider on the Suzuki as well. I'm very surprised that they've not put a whole lot of time and investment into developing them further. I don't, if you are a Suzuki rider, IRL, like how does it compare to other bikes that you've ridden? Like, are they kind of slow and sluggish like they're made out to be, or is it when you're just an average rider like yourself or I, does it not actually make much of a difference? It's only when you get to the extreme end for the pro guys that they really notice that difference in weight and turning and etc. Because I feel like for the average rider, I feel like any modern day bike is good enough. But I just thought, I don't know, I always hear these rumours of Suzuki's being very, very mid. And I mean, I don't know if all 250s are going to feel like this, but I kind of feel like this is how the 250s in games should feel. I feel like the current 250s that we have, they're actually so fast. I don't think that, regardless of the track, I mean, in real life, the factory 250s do get close to the factory 450s, and on a very, very rare occasion, they will be a faster lap time. But then they also do get a fresher track to qualify on too. I don't feel like in game there should ever be a circumstance where the 250 bikes are faster than the 4s, unless Skills decides to drop down class for some reason, and because he's just absolutely cracked, he's multiple seconds faster than everyone on any day anyway. Then I can see it. But you get very, very often there's a lot more faster 250s than 450s these days. So maybe the 250s need restricting a little bit, or maybe the 450s just need to be made a little bit quicker. We always have this issue where, especially on Supercross, imagine making the 250s even slower indoors. There'd be a nightmare, because it's hard to triple into rhythm sections as is, and I think a lot of that comes down to like the preload / seat bouncing mechanics in the game. If we had proper seat bouncing, not like a stupid button like you have on other games like Monster Energy Supercross, but something that just works like MX Simulator does, where if you actually lean back and lean forwards, or even if you dab the back brake in the air, you know, it gives you that little bit extra distance. If we had something like that in this game, I think we could get away with the bikes being less powerful, because then it wouldn't all be about carrying your momentum going like Mach 10 around every single corner. Just my 2 cents on that. So the handling of this Suzuki feels good. I don't know if that's because it's so slow or not, but I haven't really had... I was about to say I haven't really had any front end twitches, but that just proved me wrong. But I did go over the rut, to be fair. That's kind of on me. But yeah, very, very slow. But handles fine. It doesn't handle badly whatsoever. Like quite a fun bike all round. I say we give one more 250 a chance as well. I'm feeling maybe a bit of Honda action. I like a little bit of Honda. I feel like they look very, very pretty bikes. Oh, I do miss the days of having the dual exhaust. They looked so, so good. I don't think they've provided any performance benefits, bearing in mind. But in terms of symmetry, it's so pretty. But I feel like that's one of them like gimmicky things that maybe you're struggling to think of new ways of improving your bike and getting sales each year. So they just went, you know what, we'll slap another exhaust on it, see how she goes. Thank you very much, Honda, for making it nice and easy for me to read. We're going on aggressive mapping, and we're at Trentino. All of the tracks in this video are paid tracks, by the way, if anyone is wondering, but I'll try and link all of them if I remember. It's quite hard sometimes going through all the different links and... Oh, get over it! That was nowhere near... God damn, yeah, these 250s are a hell of a lot slower than what we've got nowadays. But again, I don't hate it. It was a different time, different bikes, different engines, like different powers, different tracks as well to accommodate those different bikes. I feel like a lot of tracks these days, they are quite on the large side in terms of scaling, whereas if I took this bike onto some of the old tracks, it probably wouldn't have any issue getting over all the jumps at all. But it was definitely interesting to see just how they handle and how she feels. Now, Trentino is quite a fast-paced track overall, so it'll be interesting to see how the bike handles that, how the front end works, having a lot of pressure put into it. But so far, so good. She feels nice. Could struggle to get over this. Oh, stretch it. Dab the brake. Oh, God. Might have been in the wrong gear, actually, going up to that. I was in 4th. Maybe I should have kept her in 3rd. See a little scrub here. But yeah, I'm very, very grateful for the sounds that we have in-game these days. Again, if I just kind of take it back to the MX Simulator side of things, I know that's the reason that a lot of people don't get too invested in sim or don't really enjoy the sim videos too much, is because of the engine sounds being just... god-awful. I don't know how it's gone this long without them being updated or just even upgraded in the slightest. I think it is literally just fully stock Poboso bike. And I will say, off of that whip there, a 250 like whip inertia, I guess you'd say, the circle that the back wheel follows when you do a whip, feels a lot more natural than the 450 ones did. So I'm wondering how much the weight of the bike comes into play there. I'm not going to try triple on this. I'm going to stay on the right side. We're going to scrub it, stay nice and low. Just have a little double. Keep her wide open. I'm very surprised at the traction that I'm keeping, because I was always under the impression that the Poboso traction was still like in the bin. Now I thought we had to run the mid-soft one. Oh, I'm at the wrong part of the track. I thought I was the next lane over. Yeah, these days I just run nothing but the mid-soft 120 on the rear all the time. So to run the Poboso mid-soft is definitely interesting, but that's what we do. We like mixing things up and just trying different things. And I'm quite surprised that the bikes, they look nice as well. I didn't know if back then they had access to all of the various models, or how many were made for how many were made for bikes specifically, how many of them came from sim back in the day. But I feel like they've got majority of them. I mean, I don't know where the Alta model came from, but the Alta model is the same in this pack as it was all the way up to the Beta 17 pack with the Alta in it. I know we've not got any electric bikes just yet, but I know they're being worked on and I'm very excited for them, especially for the Varg. I feel like the Varg's going to open the doors for so many different opportunities if it's made in the way that I think it'll be made. You know, in real life, you can map the Varg to be anything from a 125 up to a 450 in terms of how it feels power-wise. So I'm interested to see if that can be replicated in-game. I imagine that a Varg-only series could be quite good fun, because I don't imagine there's any way of making them kind of fair or equal to other bikes. I feel like they could be quite overpowered. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We'll see how that goes. And I don't know if there's anything else coming out with that bike, with the Alta and the stock Varg. I don't think there's any other bike out there in competition. But I am excited. It should be very, very good stuff. So that'll probably do it from me. I've realised I've been recording for about 24 minutes now, but we'll have a little bits of that edited out in between me going from track to track. But I'm quite surprised by these bikes. They're very, very weird, is the best way to word it. I think some of it is due to the sound mods, where I'm an audio bass player. I like to listen to what the bike's doing and adjust my acceleration or turning accordingly, knowing if I'm going to slide out or not. So that is probably hindering me quite a lot. So the front end is a little bit wonky. The rear end feels really, really good, unless you're on a 450 doing a big whip, and then it will just kind of leave itself in place and not come back around whatsoever. But I think for the time these were about, like, different tracks, different community, like, not... I imagine the people that made these weren't essentially working another day job on top of their already day job, trying to get these bikes as good as possible for everybody. And it's nice seeing some names that I never knew existed that had contributed to this community in the past. So big W to everyone involved in this. And to be fair, I had no idea Stone Rider was about all the way back in Beta 9 too. So like, massive W's. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Something a little bit different, a little bit of a blast from the past, and let me know how you think these bikes look and handle overall. I can tell you firsthand that I 100% every single day of the week would take what we have now over these, that is for sure. And that'll do it from me. If you did enjoy, please do drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'd greatly appreciate it. Have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're up to, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.